The Jewels of the Countess of Airlie, the story of grace and grit. She stood in the shadows of palaces for half a century and almost nobody noticed. She was American, New York born, Newport raised, schooled in Manhattan, and yet she ended up closer to Queen Elizabeth II than most women born within a stone's throw of Buckingham Palace. She held a title no American woman had ever held before or since, the first of her nationality to serve as Lady of the Bedchamber to a British monarch. And when she finally left this world in 2024, aged 91, the jewels she left behind told a story that her own quiet dignity never would. This is the story of Virginia Fortune Ryan Ogilvy, Dowager Countess of Airlie, and the treasures that passed one by one beneath the auctioneer's hammer. Before we go further, if you find yourself captivated by these stories of women and their jewels, please do press the like button and subscribe. It means the world and keeps these histories alive. The woman behind the diamonds. Virginia Fortune. Ryan was born on the 9th of February 1933 into a world of extraordinary privilege and cultural weight. Her grandfather was Otto Kahn, the formidable German-American financier who poured a Gilded Age fortune into the arts, patron of the Metropolitan Opera, president of the Manhattan School of Music. These were not simply wealthy people, they were tastemakers, and Virginia inherited every drop of that sensibility. Her childhood moved between Manhattan and Newport, Rhode Island. Her mother brought her to London each summer, staying in a flat overlooking St James's Park. It was there, at a dance at the Savoy Hotel, that a 16-year-old Virginia met David Ogilvy, a Scotsman of ancient lineage and easy charm. In October 1952, they were married at St Margaret's, Westminster, with Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and Princess Margaret in attendance. David became the 13th Earl of Airlie in 1968, and Virginia found herself mistress of Courtesy Castle in Angus, raising 6 children and moving naturally into the orbit of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip at Sandringham and Balmoral. Then came the appointment that defined her life. On the 1st of January 1973, she became Lady of the Bedchamber to Queen Elizabeth II, the first American ever to hold the role. Remarkably, her husband's grandmother Mabel had served the same position to Queen Mary decades before. The Airlie family had given 2 ladies of the bedchamber to 2 successive queens. That does not happen by accident. It happens through absolute unwavering devotion. Cecil Beaton called her a paragon of gaiety and dignity. King Charles III, after her death in August 2024, spoke of her immense devotion and dedicated service to his mother. When her jewellery collection went to auction in October 2025, what passed under the hammer was not merely jewellery. It was biography, set in diamonds and pearls. The Airlie Tiara. No piece in this collection carries more history or more emotion than the Airlie Tiara. Made towards the end of the 19th century, this late Victorian diadem is everything that era of jewellery stood for: exquisite in its detail, symbolic in its design, and constructed to last for generations. Set throughout with cushion-shaped old brilliant and rose-cut diamonds, its pierced, tapered form is adorned with daisies, each centrally featuring a natural pearl. Ivy leaves, rendered in cushion-shaped diamonds, wind through its architecture, while pearls and clovers run along the crest, rising to a central apex crowned with a single, luminous natural pearl. In the language of flowers, that elaborate Victorian vocabulary of meaning, the combination of daisies and ivy tells a very specific story. Daisies represent innocence, loyal love and purity. Ivy signifies an aid to love. The presence of pearls throughout reinforces this reading, pearls being the eternal emblem of feminine grace. This tiara was almost certainly made as a bridal gift, a diadem for a young woman entering a new life. The first Countess of Airlie to wear it was Mabel, who in 1901 was appointed Lady of the Bedchamber to the Princess of Wales, the woman who would become Queen Mary. The tiara passed through the generations, and it was Virginia Ogilvy who would make it truly her own, wearing it with a regularity that spoke of genuine love for the piece rather than obligation. It appeared at state openings of Parliament, at state banquets at Buckingham Palace, at gala receptions at Windsor Castle. It crossed borders on official overseas visits. For nearly 5 decades, Wherever the Queen's Lady of the Bedchamber was required to appear in full ceremony, this tiara was on Virginia's head. When it came to auction in October 2025, the pre-sale estimate was £50,000 to £70,000. The hammer fell at £189,000, nearly 3 times the high estimate. The room had understood, even if the numbers hadn't anticipated it, exactly what they were buying. The Verdura Diamond Unicorn Brooch. Estimate: £2,000 to £3,000. Sold: £17,010. This is perhaps the most personal piece in the entire collection, and the one with the most surprising provenance. The brooch is a masterwork of the legendary Sicilian-born jeweller Duke Fulco di Verdura, a unicorn, its head carved in bone, issuing from a circular cabochon turquoise crown, with a fringe of pear-shaped diamonds, its horns set with brilliant cut diamonds, and a diamond flower clasped in its mouth. The craftsmanship is theatrical, fantastical, and entirely characteristic of Verdura's irreverent genius. But the connection between this piece and Virginia runs deeper than a simple purchase. Virginia's mother, Margaret Nin Ryan, and her aunt Maud Momo Khan were personal friends of Verdura, the three likely meeting in Venice in the summer of 1923, that golden season when New World wealth and Old World aristocracy mingled freely on the Lido. These friendships endured for decades. Young Virginia, growing up in New York, became friendly with Fulco herself. Verdura was famously reclusive about his atelier. He is said to have shouted, "Tell them I'm dead," when inconvenient clients arrived. And yet, Virginia Ryan, as a schoolgirl, was given special permission to visit him on her way home from school. She was, according to Patricia Corbett's definitive biography, Verdura, the life and work of a master jeweller, one of the very few people ever allowed to watch him work. Corbett describes Virginia watching Fulco place a Baroque pearl on tracing paper and sketch rapid transformations around it, a camel, a triton, a swan, a mermaid, before setting tiny stones around each creation. The unicorn brooch itself is illustrated on page 145 of Corbett's book. A fascinating footnote: Verdura's inspiration for his unicorn designs came not from heraldic tradition, as one might expect, but from robust folk carvings on early American carousel horses. This is perhaps the most perfectly apt jewel in the entire collection, a piece connecting Virginia's American childhood, her family's extraordinary social world, and the European artistic milieu she would spend her life inhabiting. It sold for £17,010, more than 5 times its high estimate. The Verdura Pearl, Emerald and Diamond Dove Brooch. A second Verdura piece graced the collection, and its imagery is almost unbearably poignant in retrospect. A dove in full flight, its body formed of a generous 13.4mm pearl, lustrous, rounded, and warm, holding in its beak a single sprig of diamond and circular cut emerald. It is a jewel of extraordinary simplicity and refinement, entirely in keeping with Verdura's gift for capturing living creatures mid-movement, suspending them in precious metals with a naturalism no other jeweller of his era could match. That Virginia owned 2 Verdura pieces, and that both were creatures, both were heraldic and symbolic, tells us something about the kind of woman she was, one who collected meaning, not just magnificence. The Pearl Choker with Diamond Clasp. If one piece in this collection can be called Virginia's signature, it is this one. A multi-strand pearl choker, its 5 to 7 strands of graduated cultured pearls secured by a detachable mid-19th century clasp set with old, brilliant and cushion-shaped diamonds. A clasp that is, in its own right, a significant antique brooch. The diamond bars separating each strand give the piece its clean architectural structure. The clasp, with its warm hand-cut stones, carries the weight of 150 years. On nearly every occasion that Virginia wore the Airlie Tiara, she wore this choker. It was her constant companion at state banquets, at the state opening of Parliament, at gala receptions at Windsor. The 2 pieces formed a complete visual statement, the tiara with its Victorian daisy and pearl architecture rising above, and this choker, layered and luminous, framing the décolletage with quiet authority. When the tiara went to auction, this necklace followed. the choker sold for £12,600. The Mabby Pearl and Diamond Pendant Ear Clips. Alongside the choker, these ear clips form the third part of Virginia's most recognisable ceremonial ensemble. Made around 1955, they are designed as stylised wisteria tendrils, a deeply romantic motif. Set with Mabby pearls and brilliant and single-cut diamonds, their lower drops detachable for versatility. Mabby pearls, with their flat backs and distinctive blister lustre, sit differently against the skin than round pearls. They have a softer, more expansive quality, a quality that suited Virginia's understated presentation perfectly. Where another woman might have chosen statement drops, she chose these: elegant, organic, and quietly extraordinary. The Fabergé enamel and diamond heart pendant. Among the collection's smaller treasures sits this signed Fabergé heart pendant, and its scale belies its significance. The heart is enamelled in a deep saturated royal blue, its surface animated by scrolling lines of brilliant cut diamonds set in a continuous flowing pattern. It closes on a hinged bail. Fabergé's enamelling technique, achieved through multiple firings over a guilloche-engraved base, produces colours of a depth that no other period jeweller could replicate. That Virginia owned a signed Fabergé piece is not surprising given her family's connections to European aristocratic culture, but the royal blue of this pendant, the colour of loyalty and devotion, feels entirely fitting. The Fabergé Neferite and ruby paper knife. The most historically significant object in the collection is not a jewel at all, or rather, it began as one thing and became another. Originally a carved nephrite cane handle made around 1900, it was later converted to a paper knife by the addition of a polished blade. What makes it extraordinary is what it is and who made it. The handle bears the workmaster's marks of Michael Purchon, Carl Fabergé's second workmaster, appointed at the astonishing age of just 26 in 1886. Purchon died in 1903 at 43, his career abbreviated but incandescent. During his tenure, he oversaw the creation of numerous imperial Easter eggs for Tsar Nicholas II. The nephrite body of this piece is decorated with realistically formed four-leaf clovers, each inset with a circular cabochon ruby. And here is the detail that stops the breath. In 1902, just a year before his death, Purchon created the legendary clover egg, an imperial Easter egg decorated with clover leaves in plique-à-jour enamel, diamonds and gold. The clovers on that imperial egg and the clovers on Virginia's paper knife are mirror images of the same hand. This object is a direct connection to the last great years of Imperial Russia, to the workshops that created some of the most extraordinary objects ever made, and to the world of European aristocracy that Virginia Ryan stepped into as a young bride. The Art Deco Vanity Case, a KW. A small onyx vanity case, circa 1925, bearing on its lid the rose-cut diamond initials, a KW. Those three letters tell a story that extends across 3 generations of remarkable women. The case was almost certainly commissioned for Adelaide Addie Wolfe Kahn, Virginia's grandmother, the wife of Otto Kahn, and one of the most formidable figures in New York's cultural life. She served as director of the Metropolitan Opera Association, president and director of the Manhattan School of Music, and was a tireless philanthropist. The case bears the maker's mark of the French workshop Hall, a supplier to Cartier, and though it carries no Cartier signature, its quality and the specificity of its bespoke personalization place it firmly in the tradition of Cartier's finest commissions of that era. That Virginia kept this case, a grandmother's intimate accessory, tells us everything about how she held her American heritage. She never let go of it. The Cartier cigarette case. An 18-carat gold cigarette case made around 1925 and signed Cartier, made in France, decorated in white and black enamel in a sharp geometric pattern, wholly characteristic of Art Deco's love of contrast and precision. The push piece is set with baguette and single-cut diamonds. This is a piece of the Jazz Age, the era of Virginia's parents, of her mother Nin dancing in Paris and summering in Venice. It carries the atmosphere of a particular kind of American abroad. Moneyed, cosmopolitan, perfectly dressed. In Virginia's possession, it bridged 2 worlds. the gilded New York of her family's origins and the restrained British formality of her married life. The Van Cleef & Arpels case. Signed Van Cleef & Arpels, New York, this mid-20th century case of elongated rectangular form is worked throughout in a crosshatch interwoven design of enduring sophistication. Van Cleef & Arpels' New York boutique was, for the post-war American upper class, a required address, and the fact that this piece is New York signed rather than Paris signed is telling. Virginia never entirely left America behind. Even at the apex of British aristocratic life, her American roots were quietly, beautifully present. The Citrine Bee Brooches. A set of bumblebee brooches, each one a stylist bee with a circular cabochon citrine for a thorax, calibre-cut citrines across the abdomen and wings, and circular cabochon ruby eyes, possess a particular kind of sunlit charm. Citrines with their warm amber tones are not the stones of formal ceremony. They are the stones of a woman at ease, wearing jewellery for pleasure rather than protocol. These bees speak of a Virginia Ogilvy that the state banquets never showed. Playful, warm, and very much herself. A closing reflection. There is a particular kind of loss that comes not from disaster but from time. Virginia Ogilvy did not lose her jewels to war or seizure or sudden misfortune. She simply lived a very long and very full life, and when it ended, the objects that had accompanied her, from a New York schoolgirl's visits to Verdura's atelier, through half a century of royal service, through state banquets and Balmoral winters, dispersed, as all such things eventually do, into the wider world. What went to auction at Lyon and Turnbull in October 2025 was not merely jewellery. It was the material record of a woman who crossed the Atlantic and the class divide and the cultural divide, and did so with such grace that Queen Elizabeth II entrusted her with the most intimate role a non-royal woman could hold for 49 consecutive years. An American, in an institution older than America itself. The Airlie Tiara, that late Victorian diadem of daisies and ivy and pearls, made for a bride, worn by two ladies of the bedchamber across more than a century, sold for £189,000, nearly 3 times its estimate. The room knew what it was buying, and somewhere in that knowledge is a small but genuine comfort. These pieces will not sit forgotten. They go on, carried forward by new hands, into new lives, carrying their histories with them. As Virginia Ogilvy herself once carried forward the history of a family, a title, and a friendship with a queen.